and then the live and neutral come in there, and these to the 3 lights. And that out there. These crumble nice and easy, these little boxes, and they never look fantastically neat, but do the job. And then what we also want to do, you need to fix it, so let's just knock these out. What we want is a couple of screws. To fix the box up straight. There we go. And then we want our 2 switches to be fixed at the bottom. So we've got the knockouts in these switches already. So we'll fix the switches up. And then put the other one side by side, right next to it for the single switch. Which, it doesn't matter which goes into which, because these boxes are both made for single or double switches. And now what we need to do is wire it. And what we want is to get these off. And we'll have a live, neutral and earth going into that light switch. Light even, not a light switch. So your live, neutral and earth into these. Clamp that down and clamp it into there, and that will go into this. Once again, live, neutral and earth. You want to get the sheath to be inside the actual fitting, because then there's no way it can get damaged outside. Again, pull these up. Clamp them down. And that one straight into there. And the last one. This would be good practice to do if you're an apprentice or you're an improver or practicing to be an electrician, because it'll get you used to terminating things. So just got to get that bit of a wiggle in there, live, neutral and earth. Sometimes you can get it if it's a bit long. Sometimes you can form it round nice and neat inside the fitting, so if it's a little bit long in there. And then chop this one off. And then we come from the live and neutral and earth into the actual box. So let's put these inside the box also. In there. In there. and then in there. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Live and neutral in. And then from your single gang switch, which will be this one, will come out of here and then also into the junction box. So then it can go like this, straight in. But then from the 2 gang switch, we're going to use some 3-core cable because we've got 2 switch lives going out of here. So then we'll come out of here and straight into the junction box. And then all I want to do is to terminate these. Just to pull that off and pull that off, and then in each cable we do have an earth. This one is Doncaster Earthshore, so it's already sheathed. And then this one is the different cable, so we're gonna have to put a bit of sleeving on this one. And it's always a good idea for the earth to double it over. Just get that little bit better connection. But you want to find out where it swoops in. Basically, just make it look nice and neat. Because all it does got to do is go into this connection here. You might think, what's the point in earthing a metal back box? In a plastic back box, sorry. Well, the thing is, if they put a metal front plate on there, that's going to need earthing. And then the earth doesn't just protect what's inside the box, it protects the cable. So if anything goes through this cable, it's going to trip the fuse. So we'll get that neat in there. That in that junction or terminal even, and do it nicely. There we go, and do it up. And then what we've got is your live coming down, which will feed the switch, your live coming down once again, but for these will also be switch lives going up, so they need to be identified as a live cable. So what we'll do, we'll put some sleeving on these cables just to make sure that people know that this is not a neutral, or this is not a neutral or a 3-phase, anything like that. A lot of houses you go to these days, they didn't have sleeving on. Some people leave the sleeving off, or they just didn't have any to put on. But it's always good practice. So you've got your live coming in, which will leave that nice and long as well. But then keep these bits, he says. Frigging dropped it. To keep these bits, because these will loop out the lives inside the switch. So then you cut these down as well. And these are going to be the single lives out. So these will be one cable going into one terminal of the switch. So I would bend them over. When you've got one cable going in, you're fine. But when you've got two, a bit more of a struggle. And this one will have one as well. And then with this one, it'll have two, because it will loop across to the other switch. So what I want to do is that will go on in with that. And then this one, you can double over. Just nice like that. So then to get the live in, basically, we'll put this inside the terminal of the common of the switch. So that goes inside the common to start with, because that's going to be your common live. And then L1 will be your outgoing supply. So we'll put this into the top once again. Into there, so that's your common live. And then these two are your outgoings. So this will be number L1, which will be your outgoing on one switch. And then L1 on the other switch as well. That is your outgoing supplies. So there we go. L1, L1 are two switch lives, and then this is your permanent live. And then that is ready to go back on there. But then with this, we've got an intermediate switch. Intermediate switches can also be used as a one-way switch. So if you just you've got L1 at the top and L2 at the bottom. So put one in L1 and one in L2. Good practice to put the live at the top. And then one in L2. And then these can be fixed back with your 3.5 screws. So you get your 3.5 screw and just fix the socket, switch, front plate, whatever you call it, switch it, fix it back, basically. Get it in there. And then this one can also go, but then be careful of these, because you want them to swoop around inside the box. You don't want them to get caught on there, because if they get nicked on the screw, then you're going to have a problem. It's going to be putting it down to earth. So you want to make sure that you don't get any cables caught when fixing these back. And that is your 3 switches second fixed. Now we want to second fix the junction box. Firstly, to pull the sheath off of the cable. So you can get to the cores inside. God damn, we didn't need that long. There we go. And then we're going to ignore, we've got plenty coming in there, but we're going to ignore the live, neutral and earths for now, because we know that the earths are all common. So we want to get the earths in there. And once again, because this one is not Doncaster cable earth shore, we're going to put that in there. And this will go back inside that box, looking nice and neat. So then basically we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terminals needed for an earth. So I'm going to put the earth down here. So then that will swoop nice and neat into that. So then there we go. That is what we want. So then we won't double these over as well, because they're going to go straight into a Wago. There's no need to double these over. But the amount that you pull off does say on the end of a Wago. It's about that long. There we go, perfect. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A 10-way terminal, which we're only going to use 6 ways. So that way, and then what we'll do, we'll use all the back ones for the earth short. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, because we also have this one, 6, and then that will sit inside that box nice and neat in that corner, basically in one of the corners where the earths will terminate. Now with these ones, these are your switch wires coming up, so that'll be alive, and then that'll be alive, and we want to connect onto the live coming in. So then we need a 3-way Wago that will go sit down there. And again, we don't need to double these ones over. We just want a 3-way Wago. So we'll have the live go in there. And when you put them in, clip them in, give them a bit of a tug, make sure they've got it nice. So that'll be your lives sending a live down to the switch, basically, and this is where we switch the lives coming back up. But again, these need labelling that they're a live cable. So you want to put a bit of sleeving over them to identify them as lives. So we've got your 3 lives going up. But then what we did forget is the neutrals. So the neutrals want to be in with the permanent neutral that comes in from the live supply. So we've got 4 of them, and the 3 neutrals going up to the light fitting. So we'll swoop them round and put them up there. And there are going to be 4 going in there. because you don't get a 4-way Wago just yet, you get a 5-way. There will be a spare one. So we'll put 1. That's 1 to the light. And that's 2 to the light. 3 to the light, or the 3rd light even. And then that'll be your incoming neutral. So then that can sit in there. So then we've got our 3 switch lives and 3 lives. So all we want to do is it's nice to leave some length inside. So swoop them round. That's your 3 lives. Swoop these round. They're also your 3 lives. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then each individual light, so that one will be number 1. Because we can see it goes up to number 1, and this one is number 1 switch. So we'll put that in its own Wago. So these Wagos basically connect just that circuit. So that's just that one. So then that light is connected. And then number 2, which will be this one. We can go into the black one, which goes down to this switch, because this is your second one. So that is its own circuit. And then this one can go down to that switch. So then now all the lives are switched. And to make sure the cables get that switch there, because you don't want to get them caught on these when you fix the faceplate back. So now what I want to do is put the lights on. So let's cover these back up. And then just put our GU10 lamp in, that one, like so. One light, GU10 lamp in, twist and lock, and then this one. Two light. Once again, this one is an old GU10 lamp, 50 watts. These are LEDs. So this one can get quite warm. We don't really use these ones anymore. So now we want to put a live and neutral onto it and power it up. So then we plug it on, and what we want is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 and 3 are mixed up. Then that one had a loose connection in here. So that 1, 2, 3. 2 and 3 are the wrong way around. So what we need to do, we can just change them up here in the junction box. So they're now 1, 2, 3. All lights working individually on their own switch.